First off, we need to appreciate the battle rifle's reload animations. Dang, beautiful enough to make a grown man cry. Anyway, I'd like to start off by saying I wanted to get this out sooner, but some complications arose. First, I was generally busy, then I got sick, then I had midterms, then I was out of town, and lastly, I was just kinda lazy. But I'm here now, so I can get this out for all 8 of you to see. With the decline of Halo Infinite's popularity as of late, this video will likely get less traction than the other video I made near its release, but I think this video will be better in quality, delivery, and purpose. I want to say that lots of the audience's grievances and issues are not directed directly at 343's employees, but at the general situation and some of the decisions made. See the Halo Cookbook situation. So the Halo Cookbook, it just kind of feels like the company may be diverting resources to where it's not currently needed, like the game's not in a great spot right now. I'm sure the people who made the book were really passionate and they worked hard on it. It kind of feels like they're trying to give us free ice cream for a burn wound. Like, yeah, it can maybe fix the problem, but it's not really the way it's supposed to be fixed. The community managers aren't the ones making the game or calling the shots. They're the messengers, and they don't deserve harassment, but constructive criticism instead. I would assume constructive criticism is welcome, and that's what this video aims to do. Now, I don't want to understate the work that the developers and the contractors, Lord knows there's a lot of them, did on the game with the way they designed its systems and layout, but I thought I would give my 2 cents by showing what the community would probably prefer. My previous video did give some constructive criticisms, but I think it mostly ended up being complaining, which is good to show that I care about the franchise, but it doesn't do much in the long run. This video and the images and systems I mocked up aim to provide direct feedback with a vision for improvement that would solve some of the issues we have currently. This video is directed at reforming the cosmetic shop and some of the customization screens. That's somewhat because it was more of just a side project / side adjustment that would more of just show you what I was talking about. And it does not touch a whole lot on progression, but I do talk about it a bit. Without further ado, I'll get started. Sorry for the interruption, but as I'm making the script, 343 has released their end of season outcomes report. They released it in like 2 stages, one week after the other. The second one they released touches on some of the things I talk about later in this video, which revolves around customization and progression. To truly give players the ultimate cosmetic experience, cross-core limitations need to go. Leave the way the armory currently exists, with the different armor bases having their own slots, but give each armor core the ability to mix and match, to allow for truly unique Spartans. Ignoring the compromise of the artistic integrity, which has already been somewhat ruptured with the addition of the sillier items in the shop such as the pineapples and cat ears, this change will be overall beneficial and is what the community wants. I know some combinations may look odd, especially with the fracture cores, but there's some great potential for what's possible. 343 did go into some detail about what they are working on when it comes to cross-core. They want to implement it, but once again, they are being held back by the way the game is held together. What's going to happen, if they can get it to work, is making items cross-core on a case-by-case basis, and some cosmetics just won't be able to work with certain armor permutations. I understand why it has to be this way, and at least we'll be getting some of it, but it still just kind of sucks that we know that there's a problem making it work. If you look at how the armor attaches to a Spartan in Halo Infinite compared to previous titles, you can kind of see some of the issues 343 has to deal with. In Reach and 3, the permutations seem to be more welded to the base of the Spartan's body, while in Infinite, it seems as though they're kind of anchored / tethered, and you can see them jiggle around a bit and separate from where they're attached to during certain animations. Also, adding in the achievement-style progression system that I talked about in my last video covering Halo would be great. Allowing players to complete challenges that unlock lore-tied cosmetics would be appreciated, such as the Grenadier set being unlocked through explosive kills. 343 have also talked about them adding a career progression / leveling system that's separate from the battle passes, which is good, but once again, it'll probably take some time to be implemented into the game. I think adding a hybrid system of Halo 3 and Reach could be great. Having a free currency accumulate simply by playing allows you to unlock a selection of armor that grows as your level increases, while also having sets tied to challenges and to in-game achievements, like beating the game on Legendary All Skulls on, or being ranked highly in competitive. They could also do something with the free currency, where maybe you'd be able to convert it into the premium credits, but that's probably a bit far-fetched. I think these changes to the systems involved in customization would be quite beneficial if implemented, but there's one more gripe that I have with the game's choice. Classifying items with rarity in Halo Infinite is a marketing tactic that fails at its job and should be removed or at least altered. If rarity doesn't affect the price of an item, it should be removed, but I know colorful backgrounds for items are more enticing, so they're likely to make more money than something with muted colors. It's kind of a greasy move if they choose to keep it like that. One change I'd like to propose, but I didn't implement it in the edited pictures, I'm a bit sorry about that, would be to color code the items based on where they came from. Having free items have a white background, blue for paid store items, gold for battle pass items, purple for events, and so on and so forth. You could have like red or green for fractures or I don't know, yeah, some of those lore type progression things. Having this type of color coding would be an immediate sign of where to find and acquire these items instead of looking at the description and it saying something vague or cryptic like coming soon. Now, for the actual changes I mocked up. With this project, I had 3 main pillars in mind when it came to designing the reworked systems. I focused on the store being more permanent, it being more accessible and more in tune with being modular and reworking the way bundles function, and have it overall be player focused. In this mockup, items would be permanently accessible to be purchased in the store, regardless of the season. Timed events would be exempt from this though, as that kind of defeats the purpose of a timed event. The shop items would not rotate out, but instead new items would be added from week to week. What is seen in the store, excluding the events, will always be in the store, even the items for new cores such as the Mark 5B and the new one coming with Season 2 Lone Wolves. 343 did not touch a whole lot on this idea in their end of season report, so I don't know if they're considering this as a possibility, but it seems they'll try and give us more options at least. The shop will be organized into different tabs and pages to make it more modular. Items such as emblems and shoulders won't be split up into multiple of the same item, forcing you to have to earn or pay for them multiple times. They should be treated as one item. Every bundle offered will allow every piece of it to be purchased individually. This would behave differently to how it currently works. An individual piece won't take up the space of a full bundle. This won't be like when the Firefall helmet came out without the rest of its set. That was kind of dumb, because data miners beforehand had found out what was going to be in the store, and they thought it was going to be the whole bundle, but it just turned out to be a single helmet. I can somewhat sympathize with the whole UI can't support it claim, I just really wish it could though. To encourage the purchase of bundles over single pieces, the bundles will have some monetary discount/advantage to them. This could be something as an addition of a free item grouped with the rest of the bundle, or a lowering of the overall price, such as 15%, but we have seen 343 willing to go as far as 40%. This wouldn't lead to any insane deals unless 343 really wanted to be kind, but it would end up being like buying a car and getting 2 free jugs of headlight fluid, a smaller incentive for a larger purchase. It appears 343 is gravitating towards this approach, but they are being held back by the UI and the other systems they work with. The first page would be concerned with customization around the Spartan's armor. You can see how it's divided up with the bundle icon taking up the most space and the rest of the page being the individual armor parts. I ran out a bit of tile space, so I had to group the gloves and the wrist attachments. I also grouped the knee pads and the hip attachments, but I think the 2 pairings I did connect well kind of lore-wise because each group is a part of the same limb. This page, as you can see, also has 3 smaller tiles for the current season's Battle Pass, the Halo Championship shop, which would open to the current page that they have for the items. The last of the smaller boxes on the page would be used for the XP boosts and challenge swaps, that I know we're all fond of. The second page would have the more niche items with vehicle cosmetics in one tab, emblems, and effects. There would also be one icon for all the coatings, but there would probably need to be an extra layer of categorization within that tab, so maybe tabs within tabs, which is probably kind of clunky, each a coating applies to. An example, some coatings only apply to one thing, right? Like there's a certain armor coating that only applies to one core and it doesn't apply to any weapons, but there are some weapon coatings that only exist for one weapon, such as the orange and white bulldog. And then there's also the weapon coatings as like that red dragon one that was like black and red that applies to like 4 different guns, right? So they can apply to multiple different things sometimes. So it probably need to clarify that. Lastly, the third page would be reserved for discounted items, new items, and event items. The pages wouldn't gradually scroll, but they would move 1 block at a time. Games like Fortnite already have store pages laid out similar to this way that I described, so it's not that far off from being a possibility. To help advocate for a player-focused cosmetic system, a third page would need to exist, meant for sales and events. This page would have weekly and daily offers of items at discounted prices, like 10 to 20% off a bundle item. We already know 343 are capable and willing to do this, so it's not that far of a reach to ask for this. One thing that would be great later down the road is a mini roadmap for the sales, and I also didn't make a graphic for this, I'm kind of sorry. But if you've played Destiny and kept up quite a bit with that game, you know that some YouTubers, when a new season comes out, they data mine the store info, so they know what's available during different weeks of the season, because what Bungie does is they release a armor set that you can buy either for money or with the free currency. But if you want to get it through the free currency, they only sell one part of the armor at a time during 1 week, so it's spread out throughout the entire season, so you got to figure out which week it's in, and if you don't want to log in every day and check, you can just check the YouTube video and check which weeks they're available. So something like that would be awesome. An extra button or external website even to view upcoming sales would be great for a player-focused system, or new additions to the store. That mini roadmap would eliminate a large portion of the fear of missing out that stores like the current Halo Infinite one has. Also, lowering the general prices of items in the shop would make the game's cosmetics feel much more accessible. Paying 600 credits for one helmet is kinda pricey when you factor in that you need to buy $10 of credits beforehand. Also, adding more free cosmetics and choices to the game would be greatly appreciated. Having a primary and secondary color choice would be awesome. Even implementing systems like Doom 2016's Dirt and Shine would be cool, but I understand if going that far is not possible. But right now, with the shop, there are too few coatings and armor pieces for any one of them to feel enticing. I look in the store each week, but now they've just kind of started rotating everything and putting occasional things on sale arbitrarily. And I never have the overwhelming urge to buy anything, even when it's on sale, because I still kind of feel like it's overpriced, and it's just kind of lackluster. And some of the coatings are just bad. If you look at them, they're like a muted lime green with yellow accents. Like, a lot of the color choices aren't ones people would usually get, except an occasional one, like black and red, and then they sold that as like a gold coating, so they got to price it at like 600 credits compared to the other ones, which were like 300, which is a bit slimy. Bringing back the old emblem customization would also be appreciated, with the system of old color choices too. I don't know why they went with the current system for the preset combinations of colors. It feels extremely limiting, and sometimes it's like 3 variations of red. Also, that progression system tied to armor I mentioned earlier would add so much player agency to the Halo experience. Having things unlocked for different milestones would allow you to boast what you were capable of. I also think the process of hiding items in the armory until they arrive in the shop is a bit scummy. I'm just saying, like, someone might buy something and then the next week something's in the store and it's like, hey, I wanted that too, and then you get buyer's remorse from it, and that kind of sucks. If anything, those items that are coming soon in the store should have the date that they'll arrive in the shop. The event's shop will be changed to be less on the fear of missing out. Firstly, the event items will not replace the normal shop. Instead, it will be a part of another tab at the bottom with the deals and featured items. If the event is multiple weeks, it will not rotate and replace its items like with what happened with the Cyber Showdown event. Instead, it will add the new week's items to the previous weeks, increasing the amount found in the shop for that limited time. Also, the event's items will function with the same modular design of being allowed to be bought in a bundle, at a discount, or individually at the player's discretion. And with the mock-up of the layout I made, there's only one tab for single items, and it might get kind of clunky in there because there can be a lot in there, especially with events. So there might need to be even more categorization within that category. This page with the deals and events will also have a few tiles at the bottom to advertise new items that arrive in the shop, because it may be difficult to find what's new if the store gets bigger with each season and more cores keep getting added. Also, having this deal page pretty far down on the scroll bar forces players to see what else is available or featured at that time, possibly priming them to purchase even more, which is good for 343. I thought these menus could use some improvements, so I did a few things. I made it so the item list is now vertical, and it has 2 items side by side at a time, so it can fit more on the screen. Although I did also make the item icon slightly larger, so it's only like 1 more item on the screen at a time, but it's just less of a hassle to scroll through. I also added more to the description areas to help with understanding the items a bit more. One part of the description would be the flavor text, the other being the date acquired, and the last one being where it can be found. I think there needs to be more obvious clarification where each item can be found in the game, so that the broader audience doesn't get too confused as to where to find what they're looking for. I also kind of messed up when it came to putting the description panel in the same place on each page I made. I chose to put it where it obstructed the least amount of the Spartan, but also framed the item that it was looking at the best. Sorry if you get a bit confused why it jumps around. I want this game to succeed, I don't want it to fail. But with what's going on, and what we're hearing about what's going on behind the scenes with 343, I don't think Infinite will be content complete until at least a year and a half from now, to getting anywhere close to like the launch of Halo 4 or Reach. I just wanted to see if I could help provide some clear visual feedback to 343, because I'm kind of tired of sitting around and complaining, and I think so are a lot of people. Seeing all these angry Reddit posts and angry tweets, it can start to paint a bleak picture for the game. But there's still some hope left in the tank for me. I just hope that it doesn't run out. Thank you for watching.